So there are, unfortunately, the haves and the have-nots. There are those that are working hard, that are making our goods and services, that are finding it really hard to build up so that then they can go out there and be the ones that own these properties, be the ones. And then there are those that are the haves that are, again, in my opinion, extracting heavily. And again, immigrants are particularly bearing that burden.
The pandemic, what it really did is really highlighted some of those disparities that were already present in those communities. So those communities were already disproportionately affected, and what the pandemic did is it highlighted some of those disparities that were already there. It just kind of magnified those disparities.
And I also think it's important to show, frankly, how stupid many of these supposedly intelligent systems are. Maybe they won't be in a decade.
So laid off workers, recent college graduates, and
then you have the retirees coming in.
Retirees coming back to work?
Coming back to work.
I will never.
Absolutely. You have individuals right now that have been out of work since COVID.
Yes.
Since 2020, and now they're looking for employment.
That's the definition of a global product.
Repeat that again for me.
The price around the world, translated by the exchange rate, is everywhere the same. I will go into Costco and I'll pick up a sweater and I think, did it cost this much to make this sweater? Or am I paying more than it cost? That's thinking like an economist.
Welcome and thank you for joining When Neighbors Talk. I am your host, Dana Tucker Davis, and here is where our community will come together to discuss current events, the ways it impacts us all, and solutions to the problems. Welcome to the neighborhood. Let's get into it. Today we will discuss what the global market is and how it influences our everyday lives. Our main topic is, what are the effects of an evolving global market on the average American? And we have our first neighbor for this season. And she is Christine Reese, professor in the School of Economics at Georgia Tech. So tell us about yourself, Professor Reese.
Well, thank you so much for asking. A lot of young people like to hear my story, especially young women.
Oh, great.
I started off in wanting to be a marine biologist, so I went and I majored in biology and chemistry at a Lutheran college in Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And I had to work my way through college, so I worked for IBM and some other places. Well, anyway, when I got out, I was married, and I started working for a bank. And then when my husband got his MBA finished, I said, it's my turn. So I started an MBA, just a gift from God, at the University of Chicago, at the same time that all the famous Nobel Prize winners were there, and they were my teachers.
Oh, my God.
Milton Friedman, Gary Becker, George Stigler. I mean, it was, how does this happen to you, you know? So I went into my first class in this program, and it was an economics class. I'd never had one. And my first teacher was a woman, her first time teaching. She became one of my best friends, and I was in there 5 minutes, and I fell in love. And
Wow.
I knew I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I do, and I have been so blessed. And I hope for so many young people that they find that I did. So I entered the PhD program. There hadn't been another woman admitted for 5 years. After I was admitted, there was another woman admitted for 5 years. So I went into the PhD program, and I was fascinated with global economics. And having been, gone through so much work, I worked for IBM and this bank, and I'm really fascinated about business. And I'm very, very interested in how people in business make good decisions. Why? How do they make? So it's all, and as I will tell you, economics is all about making decisions. It's all about making decisions.
Well, I'm a lawyer by trade, so all the decisions that people make, at some point, they need to come into an office. We're a lawyer, so we're all about making decisions as well, so I understand that. So now, do I call you Dr. Reese or Professor Reese? Which one do you want?
Well, let's go with Professor. Or
Okay,
you
great.
could just call me Chris.
Okay, we got that. So let's get into our first topic. Now, I'm going to read this quote, and then I'm going to tell you something that I probably shouldn't. But the quote says, according to the Council of Foreign Relations, the United States is the world's largest economy with a gross domestic product, GDP, of more than 30 trillion. That was in 2025, accounting for roughly 1/4 of the global economy. Now, my little secret is I can't remember what GDP is. I had economic classes, a lot of them, because I thought I was going to go that route with my life, believe it or not. But I can't really remember what impact it had. So can you refresh me and the listeners?
Well, GDP is gross domestic product, and it is literally the value of all goods and services created in a given year or a given quarterly GDP, by all the residents of the country. So there's a German GDP and a British GDP, Australia, and the United States GDP. So it basically measures how much we're producing and how well we're producing.
So whatever products we have that we born and made in America, it goes into our GDP.
Exactly.
What about our use of those products? Is that counted too?
Well, what it's going to capture is basically what economics is.
Okay.
Which is a trade. So the basis of economics is a transaction or a trade. Somebody buys and somebody sells. And one thing that's important.
It's like eBay.
You're beating me to it here. Because
sorry.
eBay is on the network, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are all on the network.
Yeah.
And that's why the global economy is a global network. That's what it is.
So let me ask you another question. I think I know the answer to this, but okay, so you said buy and sell. So what about bartering? How does that impact it? If I have something to give you, but instead of you giving me money for it, I'm giving you giving me something that I need. How does that affect, if anything at all, the GDP?
It won't, because it's been captured in the dollar buying or selling of an item in the trade.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
And an interesting fact is that human beings are the only species that trade outside of their family group. So we are genetically programmed to trade with each other. Other animals, you know how you see monkeys helping each other, and we are the only species that goes out of our family group to exchange with each other. And exchange is where all my students go up to somebody on the Georgia Tech campus and say, all prosperity comes from trade. It's my student. They have all, for 50 years, been trained to say that. All prosperity comes from trade.
Okay, wow. Well, okay. So my intrusive thoughts are trying to kick in because when you said about the humans inside the family, there's at one point the Susus was a thing that a lot of African countries do, where everyone in the family puts into the pot, and then if you need something, you pull out of the pot. You never go outside of, and when it's your turn to. So anyway, I don't want to digress, but that made me think about that culturally, what they do. I'm not African, but.
But remember what I said, all prosperity comes from trade. Mm-hmm. And so it is exactly those kinds of African countries that remain poor. And I work there, and it breaks my heart, literally breaks my heart.
Because they won't go outside and trade and buy and sell.
Really, because I work with their governments.
Yeah.
It's because the government has not provided them with the infrastructure that allows them to go and trade. So I worked with a group in Kenya, and it was out in the countryside. It was a wonderful school, 90% unemployment. It was a wonderful school where they taught young men woodworking and ironworking and stuff like that. And they made stuff. Well, I looked at it and I said, oh, wow, this stuff would sell for a lot of money. But there was no way to get those goods from there into any population center.
What?
And so it just sat there. It just sat there.
Because
there weren't roads.
Based on trade.
It's infrastructure, yeah. They have to have the roads, you have to have the bridges, you have to have waterways.
Now you have to have internet, just about.
Exactly. And in those basic infrastructures like that, the government really usually
controls.
provides them.
Yeah.
Lately, when we do things in Africa, we're finding ways that we can get public-private partnerships to build that infrastructure. That's where I work and where I think I make a difference.
Okay, so, but now let's talk about the United States. With the United States being the world's largest national economy and a leading global trader, how does the global market directly affect me, you, as an American?
Well, I think a story that came up recently was when we had the recent beginnings of things in Iran, and gas prices went up so fast, so rapidly. And my brother was just so upset, and he said, how can it be that something that happens all the way over in Iran has raised my gas prices more than $1 a gallon? I mean, I'm here in Shenandoah, Virginia. How can that be? And I tried to explain to him, I said, well, it's a global market. That the definition really of a global commodity is that its price is everywhere the same around the world, translated by the exchange rate.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's the definition of a global product.
Repeat that again for me.
The price around the world, translated by the exchange rate, is everywhere the same.
So, in that scenario, gas is the same everywhere except you add into the exchange rate, which makes it higher. So we're talking about global economy. So things that could happen in Iran, things that can happen in Africa, things that could happen in Mexico, wherever they are, affects our economy and what we go and buy here and what we get here. So how does the job market play into this?
Well, the best thing that you can do in a job market is to get your environment such that people are enabled to participate in trade. And you don't want to do things that makes it difficult for them to participate in trade. So the richest you can be, the best you can be, is if everybody is completely free to trade everything all the time whenever they want to. And I need to say something else, is that the whole idea of trade is that is that it's voluntary on both sides.
Oh, okay.
So if I want to sell you this lovely cup of coffee and you want to trade it to me for my pen, people might say, she traded that pen for that beautiful, but you did it voluntarily, so you feel better off and I feel better off. That's trade.
Yeah.
Both sides feel better off if it's voluntary.
So my mind's going, because I'm thinking like, okay, what if that cup doesn't even belong to you? You're trying to trade it, because that's where the underground market is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a song about boosting, but anyway. So when you said the impact is that we need to enable people to participate in trade, it makes me think about when Bill Clinton was president and he had this program or requirement for single parents to obtain benefits. You had to complete a trade program to be able to get, they call it vocational rehab, so that you could go and work into and build your skills to be a participant in the workforce. So would that be a program that would impact what you're saying about a person's ability to trade?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime somebody learns something or gets smarter, is able to improve themselves so they can offer something to someone else, right? Mm-hmm. I learned how to do this and you need it done. You don't want to do it. So I learned how to mow the lawn. You don't want to mow your lawn. I'll come and mow your lawn. And so people can constantly ratchet by learning, which of course being a professor, I love learning. And I do a lot of work with K-12 education too. I love learning in children, and it's the future. It's everything.
So one last thing, and we'll go on to the next phase of this. What is price theory, and how does it affect us?
Well, so price theory is the theory of prices.
Okay.
It's a great question that you asked, because when I did my PhD at the University of Chicago, these guys, they had price theory and monetary theory. And I never really understood what price theory. And I realized it's all the study of prices. So it's all about demand and supply, people who want things to buy or consume, use, people who want to sell things. And when they exchange something, whatever, one banana for 2 apples, that's a price. That's the price of apples in terms of bananas. So price theory basically looks at how and why prices change, or why they are what they are.
Yeah, designer bag with someone's symbols on it is priced higher because demand for it is higher, but the supply is low to make the price high, right? Same bag without the symbols, you have a large quantity of them, but the price is lower because it doesn't have the same demand, right?
Right.
Okay. That's different from monetary theory, what you're saying.
And my bag over there is from Kmart, and I wouldn't buy one with the symbols on it because it's just not valuable to me. Now, for other people, that's really valuable to them,
Well, I went looking
so they're willing to pay.
down the rabbit hole of a Goyard bag is in a song, and I said, oh, let me see what the Goyard bag cost. And I put it in Google, and it came up $24.95 in Walmart. And I said, who is paying this at Walmart? And then at Macy's, it was $4,000 for the little purse. And so it looks like a regular bag you could buy at a Kmart. But I digress. So now we understand all that theory. Let's talk about how what we as Americans do that can change positively the economy and what we can do to impact how we feel about the prices of a good or the job market or whatever. Let's kind of segue over there.
Well, if you're talking about individual Americans, you can take this simple idea and just start paying attention.
Just start paying attention.
Yeah, you go into the grocery store. I go into the grocery store and I see the price of eggs and I think, why are the price of eggs that much? Or one thing that drives my son totally crazy is when I get on the freeway to come into Georgia Tech and they have the special lanes and it says
HOV.
for $1.65 you can do this, get in the special lane and go faster. I can't help myself. I start to drive in there and I start saying, what's the value of my time? What am I doing today? Is my time worth $1.65? And I'm trading cost-benefit analysis. So I'm constantly thinking, why is this price this? Or, shopper that I can tell that you are, I will go into Costco and I'll pick up a sweater and I think, did it cost this much to make this sweater? Or am I paying more than it cost? That's thinking like an economist.
So what we can do as individual Americans is really more comparison shopping is what I hear you saying, and paying attention to what we're buying.
Well, I'm saying learning how economics works and paying attention to why things are the way they are. I'm not so much thinking of Americans just as people becoming better decision makers and paying more attention to the data that you can collect to make better decisions. And as a country and a state, I was on the tax council in 2011 to reform the tax code of Georgia.
Oh, really?
And I have taught courses on the economy of Georgia and how to improve it. I'm very much engaged in that. And
so give me your top 3 things that we can do to improve the economy in Georgia.
lower tax rates, lower tax rates, lower tax rates.
Okay, so lower tax rates. So
Right. Rates.
The rates.
Rates.
And which rates you talking about? Income tax rates,
Income
sales tax rate.
Lower the income tax rates, and if you have to, raise the sales tax rate. Better cut your spending back, but if you always want to go for sales taxes rather than income taxes. And why is that? Because you shouldn't tax something that you want more of. If you want more income, don't tax it. If you want more savings, don't tax it. If you want more investment, don't tax it. Anything you tax, people will go away from that and you'll get less of it. So don't tax anything if you want more of it.
So now there is a push, allegedly, my quote fingers, allegedly, that the legislature here in next year is going to consider doing away with the income tax for Georgia. I don't know if that's happening or not, but what are your thoughts on that? You think that's positive?
Absolutely, and I don't think that they will be able to do it. I think it's just kind of a big but. The states all around us have done it. So Tennessee, Florida, zero income tax rates. And if you look at across the country, you look at the states that have high income tax rates, their growth rate is just flat. Look at the states with no income tax rates, growth is like this. And again, if you want, taxing income is taxing growth. Why ever would you want to do that? So I'd love to see us I think we get to 3%, but I have been very involved in this.
3% as the income tax rate,
Yeah.
or lower?
Well, we'd get a big bang out of going from 5 something to 3. We'd get it would create so much employment and it creates so many jobs.
Oh, because people will have more of their income to spend, and then the businesses can have more money to employ people. And okay, I
Absolutely.
see it's a big circle. So okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Well, that's a good point. So now I'm going to.
Well, thank you. Can you tell that to the legislators?
I know. Well, well. So let me say this: while I may not, I know a lot of the legislatures personally, but I may not have a vote there. But we, as neighbors in our community, we can go and communicate with our elected representatives to push for the removal or the reduction of the income tax rate, so that it does benefit us. And my issue is, don't tag it with a casino or gambling or whatever. Just do it on its own, right? I don't think it should be. I think they're trying to connect the two, like a justification.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. We're justifying reducing the tax rate because we want to bring, gambling or casinos here, and that's where the revenue is going to come to the state coffers. I just don't think they should be tied together, but that's not an issue for today. I do want to thank you because I did learn a lot from you, and now I'm going to go and research price theory a little bit more, and the impact that we have I'm a small business owner, so I can tell when the economy is changing because I can hire more people. I have more demand for more work to be done, and that's good or bad because it's a law firm. So you're like, okay, a lot of people suing or being sued, and so because a lot of times if you don't have money, I don't care what it is, you're not going to have the money to pay a lawyer to represent you. So
small businesses make up 75% of all the new business formation in the country. The growth of the country is small businesses. It's not big businesses. Big businesses don't grow all that fast. Small businesses really grow, and they're the ones that get hurt most by this income tax. For one thing, most small business owners are pass-through or Schedule C, and so they pay income tax, personal income tax, on what is basically their business. So, yeah, get rid of it.
Don't get me started on that.
Have I got you yet?
Get my blood pressure up. But anyway, I've learned a lot, and I thank you, Professor Reese, for coming and talking to us, because when neighbors talk, locals listen, and so that is what we do here. We try to bring the knowledge to our viewers so that they can, just better understand things. And so do you have any articles that you've written or any so if someone wants more information about your theories, where can they find that? Where can they reach you and that kind of thing?
Probably the best place is the Georgia Tech website, School of Economics.
Okay.
And I'm pretty recognizable. There aren't many of us, and there is my resume there.
Okay.
And I have published on tax theory, but a lot on global corporations and globalization, a lot.
Oh, okay. Are your articles listed on the website?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So, thank you again for coming to join us. And so, to our community and to our neighbors, we want to thank you, and we'll see you next time. And we will continue our conversations because we know when neighbors talk, locals listen. And I am Dana Tucker Davis. See you.